Diaries YouTube talk show, everybody. I'm your host, Natalie Wilson. Thank you for coming back again to watch another interview. We are women inspiring women, one story at a time. So I don't know if you've had a chance to watch some of my videos. If you have, thank you so much. I hope you're sharing them and you're liking them and you're subscribing to my channel. I so much appreciate it. These women are taking a lot of energy and courage to come out and talk about their stories, so I would like everybody to support them. I want to talk about what I've been dealing with lately and the fact that you haven't seen me for maybe a month or two, maybe a couple months. I've had back surgery. I had 2 herniated discs in my back, and the bulk of 2018 was very difficult for me. I wasn't walking very well. I had the sciatic nerve pain down my leg, and it was very, very trying. I'd say 9 months out of the year. So in November I finally had this surgery and I am all good. So I'm back. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. So without further ado, I would like to bring to you my next guest. Strikingly beautiful, very strong, Miss Tracey Thomas. She's standing tall through life and death. Please welcome Tracey.
Thank you.
Look lovely today.
Thank you. So do you.
I remember seeing your pictures and seeing you on Facebook and whatnot, and always said so beautiful you are. And I know that you've been through some very trying times, but you know, and so the thing about looks, people tend to look at people and think, oh, they look so beautiful and they're good, they're living a good life, you know, you're traveling and whatnot.
Yeah.
But just don't know what you're really dealing with. So I wanted to talk to you more about exactly that. You look at you and you think that you're strong and beautiful. Well, you are beautiful, but people look at you and just see strength. Tell me more about Tracey.
Well, Tracey is a strong woman and kind-hearted. But I feel like I've always have to be the tower of strength for everybody. But
Curse of a woman.
Curse of a woman, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad for the strength that I have. And yeah.
Good. You. And so you have tell me about your family, you have children?
I have children. Elise is 32, Shanice is 29, and my son is 20 and 4 grands.
Oh, thanks. Well, you look fabulous. No way. You look great.
Thanks.
Good for
Thank
you.
you.
Good for you. This is what, you know, when women see women like that, instead of feeling envious, we need to be happy and proud because, you know, it shows that, you know, it doesn't matter how many children you've had, what you've gone through, you can still put time and energy into yourself and keep yourself looking well.
Yeah,
right?
I try.
Because, you know, I always believe that looking good on the outside helps to feel better on the inside.
It does.
Right?
It really does.
Yeah.
It really
It's a very,
does.
very strong statement. It seems so simple, look good, feel better, but I think it speaks a lot of words.
When you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about something you're fortunate to experience in your life. Something that a lot of young women, you know, look forward to later down in their life, you know, that Prince Charming and, you know, falling in love and having that compatibility with somebody.
Right.
You were fortunate to feel that. You were fortunate to have that in your life. I want you to tell a little bit about that and let some women live vicariously through you.
Well, I met my husband in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Hotlanta. He was originally from Texas, but we met in Atlanta when I was living there. I was coming from work, actually. It was my mother and I together. I stopped at the gas station to pump gas, and he was on his motorcycle driving by, and he said, you know, I saw you out of the corner of my eye, and I had to double back and come and say hi. Yeah. And yeah, he came and lifted up his motorcycle, you know, the visor, and started talking and gave me his business card, and the rest was history. The rest was history.
And you were living in Atlanta?
I was living in Atlanta at that time, yeah.
And you stayed there?
I stayed there for 9 years.
Okay.
We ended up getting married in 2000, and we had a son. And yeah, the rest was history.
Oh, okay. All right. So how long after you met him in Atlanta did you come here to Canada?
I came back here around 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a lot of people's lives, life is never just always,
Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of ups and downs in our lives.
Yeah.
In 2010, I believe, from our conversation, things just started to take a turn for the worse, if you will, and things just started to go downhill. And not that we can't deal with bad circumstances in our life, but it was kind of like a one after the other kind of deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want you to give us a rundown of when it started and what went on.
Well, I think the turmoil started when my mother-in-law was sick. She got sick with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. She had been battling it for a lot of years. So she was always sick. Mm-hmm. She was always sick.
She went through chemo, radiation.
She went through chemo. She went through radiation. And more times when we used to go by the house, she was always sick. Mm. She was always throwing up, always sick, and she was taking a lot of medication. So for the majority of the time that I did get to spend with her, she was always sick. Mm-hmm. She ended up passing away. I'm just trying to remember the date. She ended up passing away, I would say, maybe around, maybe 2006, maybe.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Maybe around 2006.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it all started sooner than 2010.
It started,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
It started.
So, and how long did she battle it?
She battled it for a lot of years. Yeah. I would say at least maybe 10 years.
Wow. So you for some of that you were there and you saw her go through what she went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's never easy. I think it's goes underestimated and unnoticed what caregivers and the support that they have to give and the feelings that they feel when they're watching a loved one battle an illness, an illness that may end up in death, right? So
for sure,
it takes a lot of strength to continue to be there and support. Mm-hmm. So you had your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, yes. She ended up passing away. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I really can't remember the dates offhand, but
from there was more. There was another family member on your husband's side.
Yes, there was. My sister-in-law. She died 2 to 3 years after my mother-in-law. But I remember going to the funeral and we buried my mother-in-law, and then my sister-in-law also had breast cancer.
Wow.
And
so did they find that it was something that ran in their family?
I believe so. Mm-hmm. I believe so. And that was shocking. Mm-hmm.
Were you close with her?
I had a good relationship with her. But you just don't see that coming. Mm-hmm. You just don't see that coming. And she was young. She was under 50 when she passed away as well. It
resonates deeply with me, obviously, because of my history with breast cancer. I'm 45, so I'm under 50. So when I hear things like that, it makes you, I've changed my life a whole lot, and I think things so differently than I did before because of the reality of death and how sudden and how close it can be to you. 50, that's so young.
She had surgery. They, had removed the breast, and then it ended up spreading, and she ended up getting like brain. She had like a tumor in her brain, and it was just a rapid decline. Mm-hmm.
So it metastasized, yeah. Do you know, and it's something I found out, and viewers might not know this too, that just because you talked about it went to her brain, that it's still called breast cancer even though it's now in the brain? Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. It was really odd when someone explained it to me, but wherever it first originated, if it moves to an area below or above, or wherever, it's still breast cancer. It's just now in your brain.
Wow.
It's weird. But, sad.
It is. It was very sad. And I think it was painful because, that was my mother-in-law, that was my sister-in-law. These are relationships that you want.
Yes, of course.
You know, you
Right.
want these relationships. So
Especially if you have a close relationship with your husband. This is an extension of him.
exactly. So to lose mother-in-law
Yeah.
and sister-in-law,
Yeah.
it's painful.
Yeah. Tell me about your father.
Well, with my father, he had been battling. You know, he had a couple of sicknesses that he had been battling, but he had passed away February 3rd, 2016, and he died suddenly. They found him, you know, unresponsive at his place, and he was rushed to the hospital. My nephew went, you know, to go and visit him, which is something he normally did. And he called me and he said, you know, Auntie, you know, grandfather's gone. So I said, well, gone where? I said, well, you know, he probably just went on his bike and, you know, went to the store, which he always rode his bike.
Because he wasn't at any, with his illnesses, you're saying that he wasn't at any place where you thought that he would die from that.
No, and I spoke to him a week before. Yeah, my nephew told me that he was gone. But, you know, I didn't realize that he was gone forever. And he told me, he said, you know, Dad's dead. I was shocked. Natalie, all I could do was just sit on the edge of my bed. I was just so shocked. I was numb. You know, I said I didn't get to say bye.
Yeah.
And I'm his only daughter.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
You know.
The response of shock and denial
Yeah.
it's such a normal response for losing somebody when they first pass.
Yeah.
Without expectation. When my sister passed when she was 24.
That's young,
and
awfully
she was
young.
shot, and it's like you don't want to believe it. It's like, no, what? No. Okay, we're gonna get in the car. We're gonna go to the hospital. And she's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
She's gonna be there.
Yeah.
It's shock. It's denial. It's absolutely not. That is not happening, and it lasts for a long time, doesn't it? That feeling.
I don't think it's something that ever goes away.
Yeah. Not being able to say goodbye.
Not being able to say goodbye.
Hug and kiss and hold them again, and having regrets that you didn't get to, like, that distance that you had that 1 week before he passed from the last time you spoke or saw him.
And when I spoke to him,
Right.
you know, I told him, I said, Dad, you know, I'll be down to visit you. And I didn't get to make it down there, you know, in time to see him. So I think, you know, that was painful. And just knowing that, you know, he passed away in the hospital and there was nobody there.
Nobody there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very painful. You know, I don't think it's something that you ever get over,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. You probably always have, you know, what ifs. You think maybe I wish I had, or what did I not do that I could have done. You know, although it was suddenly wasn't something that you could have controlled, but you know, and I know that I think this way, you know, what was it that, was there anything that I didn't see? Was there anything that I should have said that I didn't get to say? Now she's gone and I can't say. And I always play those things over in my head. And I've settled with the fact that I just know she's not here and one day I'll see her again. But did you have those, does your mind play tricks on you that way?
It did,
Yeah.
especially with me being the only girl. I said, you know, maybe I could have done more. Maybe I should have done more. Not being able to say bye really, you know, really,
That was the hard part, I'm sure.
That was the hard part. I think more than anything, just not being able to say bye, give him a hug. A kiss,
You know,
tell
you
him
had
how
that
much I
final
love him.
Yeah.
I think that was the hardest part. Yeah.
And do you see comfort in the fact that you just know that he's in a better place now anyways?
For sure.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
So, brother.
Well, with my brother,
I have to tell you, before you go any further, when
Yeah.
we spoke and you were telling me all this,
Yeah.
and usually I'm not speechless. I can talk.
yeah,
And I felt so heavy for you. Almost like as if I wanted to take some of it away for you. Right? Because I know the loss.
yeah,
I know what it feels like. And that's one person.
yeah.
But to have multiple.
It's painful. It's
Yeah.
very, very painful.
Like the emptiness.
The emptiness. It's painful, and it's when you're dealing with pain and it continuously happens, it's like you can't catch yourself. You can't catch yourself because it's one after the other. So as you start to heal, something else happens.
Yeah.
As you start to heal, something else happens. So it's very difficult and it's very painful.
Your brother died
with my brother,
Can I take that for you?
yes. With my brother, this was my brother from my father. And we hadn't really been in close contact, for a lot of years. But when he finally did come back into my life, which was last year, soon after he came back into my life and we started to communicate, he told me he was diagnosed with cancer. And
You have to hear that word again.
I dread that C word. And he's only 45. So that again was another blow. It was very painful. And of course, he started to, withdraw himself away from...
Of course. And that's probably a protective mechanism for him, for you.
Right.
Right? Just to bombard you with all this love and here I am, your brother's here, and we're going to have a great relationship knowing that he's not going to be here. Right?
It was very painful.
Yeah. So... you know where I'm going next.
Yes.
And this, out of all the circumstances, I can't say that one is harder than the other, but I would say that this one would be the most difficult for you. I think it would be for me. Tell me about this loss.
Well, the loss of my husband. He died November 1st, 2011. He died of lung cancer. Again, that big C word. He was 49 when he died. When we got that diagnosis, he was given 6 to 9 months to live, and he died in 10. That was the hardest journey of my life.
This love of your life.
The love of my life was just snatched from me. So that was very painful because when we got that diagnosis, after hearing the C word so many other times, I didn't see it coming with him.
Right. So, but you still weren't prepared after knowing that, after feeling and going through all the feelings and emotions that you went through with all the others that came before him, you still weren't prepared for
I wasn't prepared. You're never prepared to get a diagnosis like that. But I remember us talking to the oncologist, and when he gave us that news, I was floored. I remember leaving out of Lake Ridge Hospital in Oshawa, hand in hand with him, and we ended up going to the beach at Simcoe, crying.
Yeah, it's like you I can only imagine, like you hear this diagnosis and then you're set on your way, okay, go ahead and live the rest of your life the next 6, 9 months, and in whichever way you choose, because you only have 6 or 9 months left to spend with this person that you set out to spend the rest of your life with.
We sat at that beach and we hugged each other and we cried. So it's shocking. It's a shock because I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
And it's a very hard pill to swallow.
And you need to go, and knowing that you needed to go about the business of getting affairs in order if they weren't spending time doing the right things, reaching out to loved ones in order to let them know. It's like, who wants to do that?
Saying everything that you have to say to each other. Telling the kids, especially with my son, because it's his grandmother who died of cancer, his aunt that died of cancer, and now his father. It was very difficult.
So tell me, let's talk about the caregiving. Like I said before, I believe the caregiver's role goes so unappreciated sometimes because we're so focused on this person who's dying and sick.
Yeah.
They're the important ones. They're the main focus. Never mind what anybody else is going through. We got to attend to this person.
Yeah.
And we understand that. But in relation to your husband's battle, you commented that it wasn't you that had cancer, but you felt like you had died. So while you were taking care of him, and tell me about that. Tell me how you felt.
Taking care of him was very difficult. The daily task of taking care of him, it was hard because your roles change. You go from being a wife now to being a nurse, a full-time nurse, and you still have to balance, the household. You still have to take care of him daily, take care of the kids.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And he was getting chemo and he was getting radiation, and the days that he did get the chemotherapy, he couldn't even make it out of the hospital without throwing up. I would have to go and get the car, get him into the car, and it was hard.
You saw him deteriorate.
I saw him deteriorate daily. And when you have somebody as young and as vibrant and as healthy as he was, watching this deterioration daily, and him not wanting to die, because he used to say, I don't want to die. And you can't save this person.
Right. So sometimes I know just from hearing people talk that when a loved one is dying, they've gone through their emotions and they come to a peace, and they're at a place where they're well with it. They realize that this is what God has, put in their path, and eventually they come to a place where they're okay with it. And sometimes that makes the caregiver or the loved ones feel a little bit better. Not that it's going to take the pain away completely, but as long as you know that this person is at this place in their life now where they are well with it, it almost makes you feel a little bit more well with it.
I don't think he was ever really well with it because
you didn't want to die.
We had so much to do.
Yeah.
We had so much more to do, and he didn't want to go and leave his family, his children, his grandkids, and the pain that he saw it was causing me. No, I think maybe towards the end he made peace with it.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I found that he used to get angry. In the later stages, he was getting angry.
Yeah.
So a lot of times he would lash out at me. And I knew it was never intentional.
Right, I was going to say, did you take that personally? I mean...
at first, but talking to the palliative doctors, they made me understand that, this is all part of it.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
It was very difficult to deal with.
So, tell me about your feelings of the future after he passed. Did you ever think that you would ever love the same as you loved your late husband?
No, I didn't.
And do you? It's a past and a present question, actually. Did you feel that?
When he first passed away, I was lost, confused, hurt, didn't know which direction to go.
Of course.
Because I never saw my life without him. So when you have to regroup as one party, it's hard.
Yep.
So no, I didn't. I really didn't know what my future held at that time.
So at this point, how many years later has it been?
He died 2011, so it's like 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it now?
I'm hopeful.
You're hopeful. Yeah.
I'm hopeful, and I have so much love to give that I'm hopeful, and I'm hoping and open to being loved.
Yes.
And loving again.
Right. No, that's good, because I think you needed to have that place and that piece of your own with nobody else there to interfere with it, because your heart was still with him.
For sure.
For sure. But everybody, I believe, needs to have somebody or should have somebody.
But until you can
until
really
you're ready.
heal yourself.
Until you're ready, though. Not until you're ready, though.
Right.
That's right. So, I mean, it's a difficult thing, because when you parted with your husband, or when people part, if they part on good terms, or if it's a separation or divorce on good terms, and you often have positive things to say about this person, and if you're in a new relationship, sometimes you might draw comparisons, right?
Yeah.
And this is a challenge, though, when you later in life when you have a new partner. if
It
you still
is.
have fond memories of your husband, which you obviously will.
They
do you
were
think that'll be
big
a
shoes to
challenge?
fill.
Yes.
Very big shoes to fill. But I think that the day that he actually passed away, even though you know it's coming, you still are shocked because the ambulance came and took him, and I really thought he was coming back.
And that was it.
That was it.
Yeah. So as we know that only sometimes being in a circumstance and only experiencing it is your only way of truly knowing it. You know, it's like having had breast cancer. I can better relate to someone who's had breast cancer. I can understand, sympathize, empathize, all that with them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, though, and I have to say this because I didn't have to go through chemo and radiation.
Right.
I don't understand that part of it. Okay? Because I didn't have to go through it.
Right.
Can I understand what the feelings they may have gone through? Sure, I can. Because in every circumstance in life, you know, if it's a struggle of pain, you go through the stages of healing. Regardless of what your pain is or what his pain or her pain is, you're all going to go through the same stages of healing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? But because you've dealt with it so many times, the loss of a loved one, tell me about the impact that it had on your emotional, your physical, your states, all your states of being.
It had great impact. You start questioning yourself, you know, and I really didn't realize I had as much strength as I had to find. I was not in a good place mentally, and you find that when you're struggling with pain, it makes you physically ill. Also.
Yeah. Did you lose weight?
I did.
Were you physically? Were you ill, and did you become ill with anything? Did you become sick with any kind of disease?
I feel so. Yeah, I started to develop.
Stress is a killer. Stress is a killer. It can bring on so many other issues.
It did. It brought on a lot of issues for me because, you know, after he dies, you know, you're left to deal and cope with so much things. But I didn't realize it was taking a toll on me until, you know, now I look back. And mentally it can destroy you.
So what was your relationship with your children like, well, after he passed, and when you're dealing with your own emotions?
It was hard because I find that I had to suppress my feelings in order to deal with everybody else's feelings.
You were also in a couple car accidents.
Yes.
Right.
So I had 3 car accidents. My first accident was October 11th, 2015. The second one was October 6th, 2015. And the last one was January 12th last year.
Wow.
And in all 3 accidents, the cars were totaled.
Wow. Serious accidents.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with that on top of everything else.
I've been dealing with chronic pain.
Chronic pain? Yeah. Wow.
So pain in the body, pain in the heart.
Pain in the mind.
Pain in the mind.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know, Tracey. So when I think about that and I see you, all I can imagine is that there was obviously a higher power working, because there always is.
For sure.
And for you to be able to pull through all that you pulled through, do you believe that? Do you believe that there was this higher power looking out for you, saying, you know what, Tracey, I got you?
For sure. I've always believed in God, and it's funny because I've always told my mom that I know that I'm a chosen one, and I know that I'm special, and not because I've gone through so much things and so much pain. Sometimes, you know, the hardest battles are given to the toughest soldiers.
Absolutely. I love that saying.
So,
so true.
Yeah, I know that there is a higher power, and I know that there's definitely one that has been guiding me. And I don't question those things because I just know that you have to find that inner strength to deal and cope. And I know I couldn't have done it on my own. I could not have survived 3 car accidents, deal with all these deaths on my own.
Yeah. He's there, he watches, he sees everything. And I posted something on Instagram the other day. And I said, when you ask for favors, of God, or support or help of God. I can't remember how I worded it. Do you ask for the little things or do you ask for the big things, right? Because I really believe that you need to ask him for the big things, because he expects you to be able to do the little things on your own.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Ask him for those impossible feats. Help me out, Lord, with this, because I cannot do this on my own. That's one thing I know I cannot do, is deal with this on my own. And he was there for me.
He was there. I just had to surrender all my pain,
Right.
to him and ask for guidance.
So apart from faith, which is, first and foremost, what other influences do you feel helped you? People, support, any support groups, anything that helped you?
To be honest with you, I never got grief counseling. I never went to support groups.
And can I ask you why? Nothing's
I-
wrong with that, but just sometimes
No,
you get a
nothing's
different
wrong
take
with,
on
nothing's
people's
wrong.
ideas on why or why not they wouldn't do it.
Nothing was wrong with it, but I think I had so much to deal with, especially with the kids, and I had a lot of things to deal with that I think maybe I just wasn't open to embracing the help at that time.
Where do you feel you are with regards to being well with it? All that you've gone through, the death, the loss of your husband, the ready to move on and get on with your life. Are you still having a great deal of difficulty? Are you at a place where you're ready, you're okay? It's been a part of your life. It'll always be a part of your life, but it's not going to hold you back anymore because you have a life to live.
No, I don't think it's going to hold me back at this point. I think I've dealt with it. I can't change it. And for the last couple of years, I've just really been existing. But I'm ready to live now.
Yeah. Do you feel that your zest for life is back?
As
I see you guys going on, you're styling it on, you got the gold too. Y'all see the gold too?
I know, right? Stella's getting her groove back.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think before I was existing, but now I'm ready to start living.
Yeah, I've seen some of your posts that you're away, you go away often enough. You go to Jamaica a lot.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You surround yourself with good, wholesome people.
You're one of the wholesome people.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I'm really glad that I've had this
you.
opportunity to even meet you again, and it's therapy. Even being able to talk about it.
We have to give a little bit of backstory of
Yeah, we
this
need
relationship,
to.
right?
We need to.
So, Tracy's mom, so I have to call her Auntie because she's known me since I was 9.
Yes.
Brenda is out in the waiting area right now, but has known me since I was little. Has known my dad, my mom. My mom's out there
Since
right
you
now
were about
talking. I'm
9.
trying to have her shh because I can hear her voice.
Yeah.
And I get a message from you a couple months back.
Yes.
And I think before the messages, I'd seen you liking some of my posts on Facebook and whatnot about wanting to share your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very poignant because, you never know when someone's going to come back into your life and in what capacity and how you may or may not be able to help them. And I'm a firm believer in people come into your life for a reason. And God is that attraction. He's the one that has brought us together.
And
for a reason.
Ironically, which, obviously the audience wouldn't know, but your mother was there at the time that my husband passed.
Yes, I remember you said that.
Yeah, she was at my house. I think she even ended up coming to the hospital. And I remember at that time her telling me about her daughter who was suffering with breast cancer, but my brain was just so preoccupied with my own situation that it really didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
And then my mom is the one that told me about High Heel Diaries, and I said, I went on and I watched your video, and I cried. I was in my bed and I cried. It touched me profoundly, your story. It touched me in a way that I was in my bed and I was with Kleenex.
Really?
Oh, I was, yeah.
And when I set out to do High Heel Diaries and my first video was a biography of what's brought me to the place of wanting to do High Heel Diaries and share my story with others.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? And it wasn't about, what was me, I've had breast cancer, I want people to know, and I need your sympathy.
Yeah.
No. People know me, that's not, I'm a strong woman, I'm good, I have all the support I need, and the support that I get, I appreciate all of it. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to show was that there's been a lot of knocks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of knocks in my life. A lot that I haven't even spoken about. A lot that I'm not going to speak about until I'm ready to speak about it.
Right.
Book coming. Right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to show that I'm still here and I'm still good and I'm still living, and I wake up every morning and I'm blessed because of that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm stronger for it. And if, because of my pain, I can help and support somebody else, then why not? I'm okay with that. And I think if that's the path God has put me on, and if this is my mission, then so be it. Yes. And I'm continuing to go through pain, and continue to have to go through surgeries, and if it's not one thing, then it's the other. But I will get through that as well.
Yes.
I didn't think I was going to walk.
Really?
Or with my back issues, I was like, what is this? Like, I've never felt pain so bad in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You can cut my breasts off and do anything you want to do. I will take that over the back pain any day.
Yes.
It was horrible. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Ready to let me do cartwheels right now.
Yeah.
So when we talked about it, I said, you have to share your story. And I thank you for finding me. Thank you for reaching out for me. Thank you, God, for bringing us back together. And I don't think this is not going to be the end of
Definitely not. And I thank you for this platform, because only one who has gone through pain and sickness, and with your cancer journey, even though I'm not one that had cancer, this platform is great, and I'm glad to be able to even share my story.
Good. So on that note, so I know as I have you here today sharing your story, it's greater than just talking about what you physically went through.
Yes.
And I want you to, and I always do this and ask my guests of this, to look into the camera and kind of talk to the audience about what you've learned from your journey, and what you would like for them to take from you coming out and talking about your pain.
What I've learned from my journey, Natalie, is that life is short, and tomorrow's not promised to any one of us. And I truly believe that right here, right now, is what matters. The relationships that we form, the people that we meet, and just know that when you're down, there's only one place you can go, which is up.
Right.
And I just want everybody to know that everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah.
And sharing your story and being able to talk about it is the greatest thing in the world.
Right. And so also I want you to kind of impart a little bit of advice that you can share with them as to how people can go about dealing with emotional pain. Something or things that they should or shouldn't do, or things that they might want to add to their life in order to help them get through it. Because I think you've had enough of experience to say, you know what, this has helped me, or this has hindered my growth.
Prayers first and foremost,
Right.
And believing that there is a God, and nurturing your spirit. Listen to motivational videos. Read spiritual books.
Yeah.
Understanding the soul, because that's the core of who we are.
Yeah.
And understanding that and nurturing that, and talking. Please talk.
For sure.
Talk.
Yeah.
I that's what helped
Yeah.
to heal me, is
Absolutely.
being able to talk about my story.
That's right. And that's what got me started in this. That's what started High Heel Diaries, to be honest with you.
Being
Up
able
in
to
my
talk.
bed after all my surgeries, and a girlfriend came to me. Love you, Bridget.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I was just talking about how I feel about what I went through, and I wasn't crying about it. I was just talking about it. And I was like, but I'm good. I said, I'll be okay. She says, yeah, you will. You will be.
Yeah.
And she's like, you should talk to people, Natalie. You should really talk to people about it, because not everybody has the strength that you have. And I said, I'm not always strong. I said, but I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my emotions. No one's saying that because we're here talking about our stories, that means we put all, the bad behind us or the struggle behind us. We're still going to have those days.
For sure.
Right? But we're learning through it, and we're better for it. And we can show others that we can have gone through that, but still be okay and still live.
For sure.
So I always like to give some facts about our topic of conversation. So I'm going to just give a little bit of info and facts about what are the stages of grief. So this comes from webmd.com. Your feelings, going to read a little bit. Your feelings may happen in phases as you come to terms with your loss. You can't control the process, but it's helpful to know the reasons behind your feelings. Doctors have identified 5 common stages of grief. Denial, which is always the first one.
Yes.
When you first learn of loss, it's normal to think this isn't happening. You may feel shocked or numb.
Yes.
This is temporary. This is a temporary way to deal with the rush of overwhelming emotion. It's a defense mechanism.
Yes.
Right? I'm shaking my head as well as you are, because
Yes.
I know all this too. It's like so real. Anger.
Yes.
As reality sets in, you're faced with the pain of your loss. You may feel frustrated and helpless. These feelings later turn into anger.
Yes.
You might direct it toward other people or a higher power or life in general. To be angry with a loved one who died and left you all alone is natural too.
I felt that.
Yeah. Bargaining. During this stage, you dwell on what you could have done to prevent the loss. Common thoughts are if only and what if. You may also try to strike a deal with the higher power.
Yes.
God, take this pain away from me, please, and I will do whatever. I just can't deal with this anymore.
Yes.
Depression. That's a biggie.
Yes.
Sadness sets in as you begin to understand the loss and its effect on your life. Signs of depression include crying, sleep issues, a decreased appetite. You may feel overwhelmed, regretful, and lonely.
Yes.
And then acceptance. In this final stage of grief, you accept the reality of your loss. It can't be changed. Although you still feel sad, you're able to start moving forward with your life.
Yes.
Aren't they just, they happen almost in those orders, in that order.
And you have to go through all of those things.
Absolutely.
In order to get
to the place.
To this point.
Yeah. This is another 4 tasks of mourning. Psychologist J.W. Warden created a stage-based model for coping with the death of a loved one. He divided them into 4 tasks. To accept the reality of the loss.
Yes.
To work through the pain of grief.
Yes.
To adjust to life without the deceased. To maintain a connection to the deceased while moving on with life. So
Yes.
he'll never be forgotten.
Never. You'll never forget.
You'll never forget. So I felt that those were really important things to talk about.
One of the things that I just want to say is focusing on the good and remembering the good times that you shared with this person. I think all the great times that I had with my husband is why I'm able to move on, because I think of all those great times. And I just try to focus on the great memories that we had.
I do that with Aisha, my sister that passed.
Yeah.
And we have a constant reminder in our household, in our family, of Aisha. My daughter Paris.
Yes.
Everything like Aisha. It's so uncanny. She looks like her.
Really?
She looks like her, like to the T. She acts like her. She's the life of the room, the party, the event. She loves like her. Everything about her. It's like, and Aisha died January 6, 2003. I got pregnant with my second child about 6 months later.
Yeah.
Lost it at 4 months.
Wow.
Got pregnant again with Paris. And it was like God saying, we're going to send you Aisha back.
Reincarnated.
Reincarnation.
Amazing.
And if I never believed it before, I believed it then, for sure. Going to give everybody some support groups, cancer caregiver support groups, because once again, we have to remember that the caregivers are a big part of the process of between the life and death. And the caregiver's role is very important, and they need, a lot of support before, during and after. So some support groups, Willow Breast Support, and Willow Breast Cancer Support and Resource, willow.org. That helps peer support and resource information to patients and their family members across Canada. Wellspring Cancer Support Centers, wellspring.ca. It's a network that provides emotional and psychological support free of charge to individuals and families living with cancer. Gilda's Club of Toronto, gildasclubtoronto.org, and hearthplace.org. So they're all support groups for caregivers, and as well as the patients that are dealing with their cancer during their treatment.
I don't think it's ever too late to get to go to a support group.
Right.
I didn't in the very beginning, but I'm not closed off to going now.
Right. And so next thing I'm going to add is some grief support and counseling.
Right.
Right? Because, we can always use counseling or just someone to talk to, someone to vent to. If you don't have that outlet or that person otherwise,
yes,
a support group is great. What is grief counseling? It's a form of psychotherapy that aims to help people cope with the physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and cognitive responses to loss. So we have Bereaved Families of Ontario, the Toronto chapter, www.bfotoronto.ca. They provide an environment and resources to help one in their grief journey. We got a Facebook support group called Grief Loss Recovery, and then Facebook support group called Writing Through Your Grief. So this is where people that have been through some grief have come together and wrote stories, and they put it in a book.
That's nice. That's helpful.
Very helpful. I do that as well. So on my website, you can find stories that I've written. And sometimes you come across certain circumstances in your life that you just feel compelled to write about, but it all stems back to how we deal with things. And how loss or grief or pain or just, living as a human being and how we interact with one another, right? And so I'll write about it. So you'll find those stories. I so want to thank you, Tracey, for being here.
Thank you, Natalie.
It was a pleasure having you, and I thank you so much for being that pillar of strength for your family, for your extended family, because I'm sure they appreciate everything that you have done for them. And I thank you, and I look forward to a continued relationship with you.
Myself too. Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you for giving me this, platform to share my story.
You're welcome. Thank
you.
So everybody, that's today's episode of High Heel Diaries. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely would love for you to share this, like it, subscribe, and get this information out there. When I have a woman sit down, I take a lot of time before I bring someone to sit down in this chair and speak with them, because it's not always an easy process. There's a lot of things to figure out before myself or this person just lets out the personal information. So it takes a lot of strength and courage. So please take the time and watch the video in its entirety and share it. I think everybody can learn something from these women, inspiring women, one story at a time.